safer 4th, fewer accidents on Missouri highways this 4th of July. KOMU8 News First at 5 starts right now.
Live from Studio 8A, coverage you can count on in high definition. This is KOMU8 News First at 5.
We are learning more today about the dock at the Lake of the Ozarks, where 2 Ashland children died from electrocution yesterday. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jim Reed.
And I'm Sarah Hill. Thanks for joining us. An autopsy is on for today, and authorities are continuing to interview witnesses. KOMU8's Matt Noonan joins us now. And Matt, they are discovering new information all the time with this investigation.
Sarah, Jim, the State Highway Patrol confirms improper wiring is what led to the accident that electrocuted the 2 children. Authorities say the dock where the children were swimming was not ground fault protected. And one local fire marshal says that kind of hazard is not uncommon at the lake.
A lot of common people don't realize that a dock is not the same as a house, and electricity does not flow the same way. It has to be single-stranded wire. Everything has to be in conduit. Everything has to be suited for wet locations.
A boat lift and water slide pump were present at the dock, and authorities say either could have supplied the electricity that led to the accident.
Well, that incident at the lake may have dock owners questioning the safety of their own docks. KOMU8's Molly Bockenbush is live at the Lake of the Ozarks to explain the rules on docks and how to check them.
I'm standing on one dock at the lake that is ground fault protected. As you can see behind me, this is Ameren, Missouri's dock. But what does that really mean? Today I talked to the Division Chief Fire Marshal of Lake Ozark, and he used the example of an outlet in your home. An example of this could be if there's a short circuit in one of those outlets, like one that could shock you. The ground protection will send that electricity back to the ground rather than back to you. So how do you know if your dock has these protections? Experts say you have to get an inspection. Here's a copy of a dock inspection from the Ameren, Missouri website. Now, the law in some areas requires inspections of new docks or ones that are getting remodeling. However, in some areas, there's no requirements of any kind of inspection. Here at the lake, once a person puts a dock in, they have a year and a half to get it inspected. If they don't follow through, well, the punishment is Ameren will remove that dock. That address will never be able to have a dock at that location again. So failure to get your dock inspected can mean not only putting people at risk, but it can also mean you might have a harder time selling your home in the future. For more information on how to keep your dock safe, visit our website at KOMU.com. Reporting live from Lake of the Ozarks, Molly Bockenbush, KOMU8 News.
And weather-wise, it's been another searing day out there in mid-Missouri. In fact, if you're keeping track, this is day number 9 of temperatures 100 or above. It looks like we'll make it to day number 11 before we finally break the streak. At least that's the way it looks now. It's a clear scan of live Doppler 8 First Alert radar. Nothing whatever to show you out there. Temperature-wise, through the evening hours, we'll still be hanging around 100 at 7 o'clock. And even at 9 o'clock tonight, we'll be down to about 94 degrees. You get the idea. Things are slow to cool off. We'll have a morning time low temperature probably in the mid to upper 70s. More on the forecast with a bit of an optimistic view of the extended outlook coming up in a few minutes on KOMU8 News First at 5.
Thank you very much. The Columbia Fire Department responded to a grass fire near an east side apartment.
Hey, Dan, how are you, buddy?
Good, how are you?
When firefighters arrived on the scene, 6
Mucho awesome-o, thank you.
Been a busy day.
Away from the
Hey, around here.
Dude, it's freaking going nuts, man. All good now.
Scene, but could not
and now we've got 2 Craigs, so now we're in double trouble.
Columbia Fire Department responded this morning to a structure fire at a restaurant. The preliminary damage estimate
Hello, Craig.
at about $10,000. The fire was
due to
a malfunction in the gas
Where are you?
water heater. The crews were able
I'm in Maryland right now.
No one
Okay.
Columbia police
Near
officers
Baltimore,
arrested a man
or-
last night
or-
for shooting into the
I'm in
air.
Fairmont, which is where
Officers
Camp
took
David
Houston
is located.
into custody after they responded
That's
to
the
a
only
shots
thing that's
fired
here.
in Walnut. Witnesses told officers they saw Snell
The little
fire
town
out
in
the gun
northern
twice into the
Frederick
air
County.
and then placed the gun into a white SUV. According to the public information officer Letitia Strower, officers found Snell.
Hey guys, I've got to bail out. I've got a Hangout
According to the Boone
extension
County
that I've got to
Sheriff's
test out.
Department website,
So I will
Snell
see you
is
guys
out of the
later.
Boone County Jail on
Take
a
care.
$500.
All right.
A man died after a standoff last night in Marys County that
take care.
involved an off-duty Missouri Highway Patrol trooper. The Marys
Hello,
County
how are
Sheriff's
you?
Office responded to the report of a female trooper was being held at gunpoint by an ex-boyfriend.
I'm fine, thank you. Sorry, I was
able to
muted.
get out of the house and get away when a single shot was fired. Deputies found the ex-boyfriend with what appeared to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. An autopsy is scheduled today. There is no foul play suspected in this case.
Hey, Sarah.
Missouri State Highway Patrol told us today the state has fewer fatal accidents this 4th of July holiday.
Need to get Jim to say hello to the Hangout.
The department says that drop is most likely due to the 4th falling on a
so
Wednesday
serious.
rather than the weekend. Since Independence Day occurred over the weekend last year, the holiday counting period was more than 3 days long. But this year's account of fatalities was closer to a 6-hour period. However, that doesn't mean
now
there's less work for the Columbia Police Department as far as enforcing safety for the holiday.
We actually began our enforcement last weekend, the week before the 4th, and continuing it through this weekend. And it involves extra officers out doing hazardous marine violation enforcement, as well as extra officers out doing driving while intoxicated enforcement.
Perkins says there will be at least one more checkpoint scheduled before the end of the weekend within Columbia's city limits.
As many Missourians were celebrating the 4th of July yesterday, the Jefferson City and Columbia Police and Fire Departments were busy dealing with fireworks-related issues. Both police departments responded to many complaints, more than 250 combined.
Wasn't me.
145 in Columbia, 107 in Jefferson City. The Capital City Fire Department also dealt with 7 natural brush fires. Firemen say most likely caused by fireworks. The Columbia Fire Department also responded to several grass fires. However, it could not be determined if fireworks caused the flames.
The state said today it's expecting to save about $44 million over the next year through refinancing some outstanding debts at lower rates. 2 boards approved the refinancing earlier this week. The Board of Public Buildings is looking for refunds totaling more than $20 million, and the Board of Fund Commissioners expects more than $23 million back. Governor Jay Nixon issued this statement about the refinancing. With these savings, we are again seeing the benefits of Missouri and the highest marks from the top credit rating agencies. The lower interest rate translates into millions of dollars saved for taxpayers.
President Obama hits the campaign trail in 2 big cleanup efforts in the Midwest. KOMU8's Mariam McGuire has those stories and more in your First Nation report.
President Obama began a 2-day campaign bus tour by presenting himself as a
Sarah, did you see the picture of
the tour will cross northern Ohio
Anderson girl who was executed? I sent it to you in a Facebook message. I know it's her because
saved by his auto industry rescue plan. By contrast, Obama alleged Mitt Romney is more focused
and then her
on
friends from Ashland, so I'm fairly confident that was the girl who was executed.
One person is dead after a construction
crane collapsed. We know that, Alexandra Anderson.
This massive crane was working on the Causeway overpass in Oshkosh when it went over 9 this morning. A Department of Transportation spokesman says the crane was lifting a heavy metal beam at the US 41 work site when it went over. Crews are working today to clean up quite a mess in northern Illinois. This Union Pacific coal train flipped over yesterday between the North Chicago suburbs of Northbrook and Glenview. The bridge gave way, sending 31 cars on the 138-car train into a deep ditch. No one was injured, but it will take crews a while to untangle the mess. And that's your first look at national news.
WikiLeaks announced today it has begun releasing more than 2 million emails from the Syrian government. The group said the emails will not only embarrass the Syrian government, but will also shame its opponents. WikiLeaks spokesperson says it had not verified all of the emails, but is confident the majority of the files were genuine. A Turkish website says a general in Syria's elite Republican Guard has defected. The website cited a high-level security source. It's the first reported defection of a high-ranking military supporter of President Bashar al-Assad since the beginning of the uprising. The bodies of 2 Turkish pilots have been recovered from deep in the ocean nearly 2 weeks after they were shot down by Syria. Bodies were recovered with the help of American ocean explorer Robert Ballard.
And if you look at her wall, Sarah, because you can click on her wall, she posted something on Trent and Nichols' timeline. If you mouse over that, you can see that Trent's from Ashland, Missouri.
One that can be very effective, especially for the elderly. Plus, not eating breakfast causes you to crave certain foods. Find out which ones in our health report.
And coming up, we've got an extended forecast that indicates that there's maybe a little relief in sight. We'll take a look in a few minutes on KOMU 8 News First at 5.
time, you were looking high atop the Sedalia area where the time is 5:09. Right now, behind the scenes at this newscast, we're talking a little bit about the tragic story about those Ashland siblings. You can join our conversation. Just go to the top of KOMU.com, click on the streaming newscast page, follow the directions on how to join our Google Plus Hangout. Okay, Dan, so you were saying this is the girl's Facebook profile?
I think so, because if you look at and mouse over her friend's name on the wall link, Trent Nichols, Trent's from Ashland, so I'm fairly confident that's her, although I'm sure I've seen her down there. I couldn't say that for sure, but I would say that was her.
Okay. Well, just to educate you guys.
Maybe I'll look at Trent's.
Right. To let you guys know, by the way, we're the NBC affiliate in Columbia, Missouri, and we do our newscast with a live Google Plus Hangout. There was a recent case where a 13-year-old and an 8-year-old in our community were killed due to an electrocution at a dock. And so I'm looking at that is Jay Riddle. Are you on a dock right now? No, you are not. You were showing us the skyline. And where is that, Jay? You're on a patio on the 6th floor in Atlanta. Wow, that is a beautiful view. But I'm curious to hear about what kind of, do you all have dock regulations in your areas as far as wiring? For instance, this dock was cited as having faulty wiring. It was saying that the docks weren't grounded. Some people are just, stringing extension cords out to their dock, and this 13 or 8-year-old, they were swimming in the water near the dock, and they were electrocuted. Yeah, so I'm curious, and there was another instance in Tennessee. Are you all aware of any dock regulations in your communities?
There is in Chickamauga Dam area in Chattanooga, where my wife's my father-in-law has a boat. I mean, it's very strict over there in the lake and on the river there.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, we have some docks down in North Carolina, and all the electric has to be in conduit, inside metal conduit.
And good afternoon to you. There's a look at Highway 63, south of Columbia there. We see those high filtering clouds that do exist, but they're few and far between on this another hot day in central Missouri. Keeping track. Day number 9 with temperatures at 100 or above. And it's a clear scan of live Doppler 8 First Alert radar. Nothing doing out there. And we'll take a look at some temperatures across the region. Understandably frustrating as we enter another day of brutal temperatures. 101 at Columbia, 104 at Jefferson City and the lake. We topped out earlier this afternoon at 104 degrees. And again, that makes day number 9. I think we're going to go to number 11 before we get a break in the action, and I'll explain that in a few minutes. Here's what it feels like when you step outdoors. The heat index really doesn't reflect too much because we don't have a lot of moisture in the air.
It's like there's some pictures of all the gang of apps. All of
it's negligible the impact that the heat index is showing anything at all. Our next weather maker is certainly not this one. This is our current map that shows that
his is public and like Alexandra's.
That jet stream that'll be our next weather maker as it dips to the south, probably late Sunday. That's going to allow that to sort of kick that blocking high pressure at the upper levels out of here in the weather, and it's going to be a change for the good. But it's going to be on Monday, not tomorrow, and not Saturday. Let's have a look at the forecast for you. First thing in the morning, we're going to be looking at upper 70s to the low 80s for a low temperature. Then as the day wears on, we'll watch those temperatures climb up, and you guessed it again tomorrow at about 104 degrees here in mid-Missouri with thankfully lower amounts of humidity. Even with a light wind, we're not getting that much moisture pulling up into the area. Here's a look at my live Doppler 8 First Alert forecast. Clear, continued warm
it's
tonight.
90 where you are.
75 might be a bit optimistic. We're going to go with 78, maybe.
Yeah, it's in the 90s right now. Yeah, it's humid. Luckily, I face east towards Midtown. You're looking at Midtown right now. Over here to the right of me is downtown Atlanta. And so I'm in the shade. About 1 o'clock, the sun goes behind my condo to the west, where some of our neighbors back there, they picked up temperatures upwards of 119 degrees on their windows.
Will be in the upper 90s.
An ashtray exploded this weekend. A glass ashtray on my patio exploded.
Here's where the big change comes in.
That's crazy.
Tuesday and beyond. That weather
pretty
Did you say you were in Savannah?
I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm in West Midtown.
Atlanta.
Here's a look at the rest of that live Doppler first alert,
looking over
not too bad,
some areas
average high this
of
time of the
downtown
year is about
Midtown.
88 degrees.
And
We'll
then
be fairly
Buckhead,
close to that.
North Atlanta is over here in the hills, Stone Mountain.
The folks without air conditioning still need your help.
So,
that's why we'd like you to join the KOMU8 fan club. And
so was it like a ceramic ashtray, or what kind of ashtray?
It was like a classic diner glass ashtray, cut in an angle that the sun magnified it, and it magnified itself.
Yeah, in fact, in our hangout right now, we have somebody who's telling a story about how it was so hot that his glass ashtray exploded on the outside of his deck. So certainly hot out there. That just goes to show you. Summertime leaves kids unsupervised.
There you go.
More than any other time, obviously. They're at school.
Right. A new study says that idle time leads to bad choices.
Jay, we had someone the other day. He was baking cookies in his car.
Making an omelet on his engine?
Yeah. He could have done it.
Yeah, so that's fascinating. So Jay, for people just joining us, by the way, we're the NBC affiliate in Columbia, Missouri, and this is Jay Riddle, and he is showing us out his back patio. So tell people what you're seeing, Jay.
Yeah, so essentially I'm in West Midtown and 14th Street, which is an old industrial area that used to be called White Provision. It was a meat packing district, and a lot of these areas in the last 4 years have been reconstructed by development companies, especially one that's a German company in here that's rebuilding City Hall East, which is really rundown area of old manufacturing. And so now it's turned into a high-end retail and condo space in the last couple of years. And so they're doing this all over Atlanta. So I'm looking out from the West Midtown area. That's looking actually in Midtown Atlanta right now near 10th Street and Piedmont Park. And then if we look out here, you'll see downtown. And we had a little fireworks show live stream last night on YouTube. It was a lot of fun.
So how many miles is downtown from where you are there?
It's a mile and a half from CNN Center and the Centennial Olympic Park, about 6 miles from Buckhead, and about 20 miles from Stone Mountain.
Wow, that would be perfect for a Segway striking distance.
Yeah, we had about 6 fireworks shows last night that I was able to get 2 cameras out here and broadcast the majority of them, so it was a lot of fun.
That's incredible. Great. Jay, so did you do that via Hangout, or did you do that via
We did it via Hangouts on air. Yep. I just go ahead and lend my camera and my condo to the Hangout show since they were so helpful to me during the wedding. And I can go about my party and they can go ahead and host and do their thing while we watch the fireworks.
So how interesting is that, that you can even watch fireworks as far as a group conversation? That's really
It was really cool. I've been trying out this sort of Big Brother-esque type thing. I bought a couple HD cameras, so I had one inside actually pointing down into my kitchen area, which I'll show you in here, but I have one down pointing in the kitchen, so I joined as another account.
Back, elderly
and
women
then the other
may
camera was outside, actually watching
a new Swiss study looked at 11 clinical
fireworks,
trials
so they could see the party that I was having for all my friends inside.
More than 30,000 adults over the age of 65 took part. Researchers found those taking more than 800 units of vitamin D lowered their risk of hip fracture by 1/3. With no school to worry about, summertime may be prime time for teenagers to start experimenting with smoking and drinking. The U.S. Substance Abuse and Mental Health Report finds June and July
is this really news?
Of the year for teenagers to buy alcohol, cigarettes, and
the dry weather contributed to a couple of crashes at our local motorcycle race.
Haven't eaten for several hours.
This guy took out part of the chain link fence, about 20 feet of the chain link fence. That's what's wrapped around his leg there. And he hit it about 90 miles an hour, and I mean he went every which way. And about 5 minutes later, he got up and walked.